Am I messing it up? Can everybody hear me? Oh, decently?
I'm sitting right here.
Yeah, hey, you open up the mic.
It's not working. I don't know what happened. It's not my fault. My name's Ravi. I work with Orkin Pest Control. Just let me know if you can't hear me. I love interaction, so if you have any questions, if you want to say anything, if you have anything bad or good to say, let me know. Feel free to interrupt at any time. I'm not concerned about that. I welcome it. So please, if you have any questions, I'm always happy to help afterwards. All my inspections are free, so if you have any needs, pest control-wise, happy to help. If you need help with anything else, I'm not very good with numbers. I'll just warn you now. But everything pest control-wise, I can pretty much do. And if I can't, there's someone who's got my back that can help me. So you guys are all real estate investors, which I don't know much about it, so I'm gonna take some wild assumptions and liberties. If you feel like I'm getting away from a topic or if you need more information, let me know. I'm happy to help, but whatever you guys need, I'm here for you. Thank you for welcoming me. Thank you for welcoming my wife, so we appreciate it. Thank you so much. How's it going? I love them. They're amazing. What did you expect the answer to be?
What's your result rate like?
100%. How much time do you have? It depends on infestation level. And what I mean by that is there's a few different problems that roaches deal with. When I come to look at your place, let's say it's a house. Is it warm? Is there a lot of moisture? Moisture meaning it could be the crawl space is where they're originating from. It could also be Amazon delivery packages. So it depends. Do you have dirty tenants? Do you have terrible old tenants and you're trying to move someone in a day and you call me because can you work magic? It just depends. Now if it's a high level infestation, there's a couple of ways we go about it. I'm sure you guys are somewhat familiar with sprays. Sometimes they don't work. Raid, especially, I see a lot of. Gel baits. Gel baits are popular with landlords. They buy them for their managers who do their maintenance and everything, and they don't seem to work. So I've seen a lot. Roaches are not a bad problem to get rid of, depending on where we're at, if that makes sense. So if you've got moisture in the crawl space and you're unwilling to fix it, there's not much I can do, unless you're willing to go like more extreme routes, if that makes sense.
Have you seen an influx in the last 18 months?
So yes, actually, we've seen an increase in roach activity, and we've seen an increase especially with German and Oriental roaches. The reason for that is because of COVID, actually. So when COVID started, deliveries went through the roof. So with distribution centers being a hub for roaches, especially German and Oriental, we saw an influx in house package deliveries, and we saw, not on any of you guys, but we got a lot of complaints from the landlord saying, we've got dirty tenants. I saw a roach there on my last inspection. You know, they're horrible. Help me kick them out. And then we've had tenants do the reverse, basically, where they'll say, oh, my landlord won't fix the roach problem that I've had. Neither party really realizing what's causing it. So Amazon packages are a huge one. Not just Amazon. I'm not trying to, delivery packages in general. If you get a distribution center with a high percentage of, let's say, rotting wood, you're gonna have roaches come in. And what happens is people think that, oh, they're dirty. So the roaches just love it there, and they call all their friends on their, iPhone. They're going, hey, come over to 504, it's popping. No, what happens is, thank you for the laugh, I appreciate it. I appreciate it so much. You're my new best friend. What happens with cockroaches, bed bugs, fruit flies, that a lot of people don't realize, humans take about 9 months to get pregnant, give birth, all of that. You've got time. And typically you're thinking maybe 1 human, maybe 2, odd case 3. Roaches are Usually 18 to 50 in one sack. So if you give it about 30 days, you could go from having 1 to 2 roaches to 52. If you've got 4 roaches, you could be looking at 100. In 90 days, you've got an infestation, 100%. Now, the problem here is 2 things. One, nobody notices. Why? Why does no one notice? Well, roaches are very different than humans. We tend to get pregnant and everyone knows, right? At some point, not right away, but you don't go around showing a strip. I'm joking. But roaches, what they do is they hide their sacs where we don't see. So where do they hide their sacs? Well, if you were to think about it, if you were trying to give birth to 50 kids, you gotta feed them. So yeah, you wanna go where there's food. Where's their food? If there's food in the walls, you've got rotting wood, organic breakdown material. So that's where the dirty tenants come in. Lots of trash, so behind trash cans sometimes. What causes a infestation to spread is very different though. So the most common cause is something you do not think about ever, but it's at the bottom of your shoe. Right? You don't think of that. The most common way to transmit a infestation from one house to another is on the sole of your shoe. Why? Because you're most likely, if you visit let's say you visit me and my house is a wreck and I've got an infestation. You walk through, an egg sac sticks to the bottom of your shoe. And remember, that's 18 to 50 babies, and you take them with you. You go home, and what do you do when you get home? You wipe your shoes. Boom, right there.
So the sac's not dying on the shoe.
You cannot kill a egg sac.
Wow.
Contrary to popular belief, you cannot kill an egg sac. So it makes it near impossible to prevent a spread. So if someone has an infestation, don't go over. I saw someone else had a question. Did I answer the question?
I guess the biggest thing is for most is if you have a multiple unit house.
Exactly. You can't ban them from visiting each other.
What do you do?
Common areas, everything.
You call me Alex.
I always call you.
And for everyone else, call me. I'm going to give you guys my cards. But there's not much you can do. If someone is infested, the real response rate that we see is about 60 days from the tenant calling or the landlord calling us to, oh, crap, now we've got another house or another property or another unit that has an infestation. So it can spread very quickly. Now, things that prevent it. Colder temperature is a big one. So roaches will not live in a apartment unit, a house, any area where the temperature is cold. What's cold? Oh, you can answer, it's okay. What's cold would be anything below 60 degrees. Now, that's not cold enough to make them leave, and that's not cold enough to kill the sac. What it is cold enough to do is to stop them from doing 2 things. Reproducing more, which is weird, but I get it, it's cold. Don't want to take off your clothes. Thank you for the laugh. I got 2 best friends. If it's cold, they don't seem to reproduce as much. So that's probably the best thing you can do. Now, if your tenant is okay with it, you could ship it. If you take it down to 30 degrees, that's where you'll make an actual difference. Now, your tenant has to be okay with it. I don't know if that's legal, not a lawyer. Yeah, so you're gonna be getting rid of more than just the roaches. You'll get rid of the humans, the dogs, everything's gone. So then you have 2 options. You can either call an exterminator, you can call me to come inspect, or you can try and handle it yourself. A lot of the maintenance people that I've seen try to deal with roaches are very unsuccessful. I've seen a probably less than 1% success rate with property management and their maintenance people. Why? When you go online and you buy something, typically you're buying something and you read reviews and all you see are, like, it's straightforward most of the time. I buy a bicycle. Oh, did it suck or was it great? 5 stars, 1 star. That's what we look for most of the time. When you're buying poison to kill a pest, what they don't take into basic account is how to use it. So if you bought a bicycle, didn't know how to ride, of course it's gonna be 1 star. And if it works the first time, that's great. Like if you had a fluke going down the hill. But roach bait, roach sprays, roach treatment, stuff like that, do not work the way that we think they work. It's not a spray and I'm done, I walk away, I have no more problems. It's usually a combination of 3 that you need to solve it, if that makes sense. Is any of this helping? Go for it.
In a multi-level, multi-family situation, say maybe 20 years.
Before you go on, I need to borrow 20 grand from you. What's up?
You had one tenant report roaches. If we called you, would you treat that one unit, or what parameter would you treat?
So it depends on proximity. Do you have tenants across the alley?
Under, left, right, above.
So bed bugs, we would say, do all surrounding 1 up and 1 down. I did that backwards. 1 up and 1 down. If you've got roaches, then what we have to do is try to track who's coming in and out. Are the tenants next door, are they best friends? Do they hang out often? Then we need to inspect that too. Now, here's the issue that I run into a lot. The original tenants who are having the problem usually don't call and say, hey, I've been bad, I've got roaches, come check it out. They're usually like, I don't want to talk about it. If I show up, they don't want me to come in. So I got to find evidence some of the time. What normally happens is if they have a best friend who also gets an infestation, they also don't want to say anything. And then they talk. And then the easiest way for me to basically help out a landlord is to go to a unit that's willing to participate. And I inspect it. And then I can find evidence of either roach, excuse my French, shit, or I can find evidence of roach shells, or I can find evidence of something that basically tells me there's roaches here. And if this person's clean and the neighbor next door has trash outside, I can typically tell the landlord, hey, you might want to force an inspection there. But it depends, because there's a lot of laws, a lot of rules. I can't just barge in going, hey, I'm the Orkin guy. Landlord told me to show up at 5. Hope you're ready. So it just varies. But go ahead.
Who's finding them in one apartment? Do you have reason to believe with common walls that you should treat other areas?
Depends on the condition of the unit. That's not meant as a slight. If there's a lot of, let's say, holes in the wall, or if there's reasons to believe like, okay, they could go from this unit to another unit pretty easily, or the neighbors are best friends, they hang out every day, then sure. But you can have 2 identical units right next to each other. One is infested and one looks like nothing's ever lived there. And the reason for that is usually they're not friends, they don't talk, they don't come over, or there's nothing allowing the roaches to spread. Roaches like to go where it's dark. So ceilings, basements, crawl spaces, in the middle of the wall if they can, wherever they can hide. But it has to be perfect conditions. So it has to be warm. If your tenant has an 80-degree house, roaches, easy. If they keep a lot of trash, roaches, easy. So it just depends. Yeah, and that's why you call me. Yeah. Does anyone else have any questions?
The biggest thing is roaches. That's number one problem for everybody.
Yes.
And then ants. I have one. And if they have ants, ew. If they have ants, tell me one of the roaches. Please? I don't know. Yeah, I think it's animals, right? Something like that.
Termites.
Sure. So
Termites are like the number one. You guys have more problems with roaches than you do with termites?
it actually
You
depends.
can see that versus the termite, you don't.
True. That's true. I'll put it this way. Roaches come with a stigma. Usually the person's dirty. You can see them. You can usually see fecal matter on the wall. You can tell someone has roaches. People have lived in houses for 20, 30 years and not known they had termites. It's very simple. Termites don't go near the sun. Roaches don't like light, but you can still see them crawling around, usually going from one space to another. Termites, you'll never see them. If you see them swarming, there's a huge problem that needs to be addressed. Something's broken. Your house may have a crumple zone. Things are serious if you see termites. So it just depends. I think more stigma comes from, I had a sales guy who came over, said I had termites. I didn't believe him. He said I need to spend $800 million. I don't believe that either. So there's a bad stigma with termite work and termite people. Crawl spaces are typically where you'll find termites. It's hard to, unless you want to crawl into crawl space, it's hard to see what bug guy's talking about. Roaches you can see, ants you can see. Ants are typically a little bit easier to get rid of if it's not infested. If it's infested, that's a sign of something worse. But if you've got a few, usually that means there's a piece of rotten fruit under the stove, something that can be swept away usually. Typically what they do is they send out soldiers. Ants are very cool. They're very like mob-like, and they're very about their group. So they send out their hunters to find food and come back. And then they rely on these people coming back and saying, hey, this spot has food, let's all go. Now, if there's only one piece of fruit and they can carry it back by them, like with 10, they'll just do that. They're super duper strong. They're very interesting to watch. But if you've got an infestation of ants, that's when you really need to call us, because then there's a bigger problem. It's not one piece of fruit under the fridge. There's a lot of organic matter, or there's a lot of broken down fruit. Something is causing them to swarm. So any type of swarm, there's a reason. Yeah. Actually, that's not a joke. That's
probably true.
What's your service area?
I do Delaware, Maryland. I can do Virginia, but
So you do the Western Shore?
I will go all the way to Kent Island. Kent Narrows, Kent Island.
There's more Maryland on the other side of the bay.
I've heard they keep me on a leash. Surprised they let me out tonight. But yeah,
Go to Kent Island.
I can go to Kent Island.
It's Maryland.
Yeah,
It's the
yeah.
end of Maryland.
The other sales guys get mad if I leave my territory. So. But no, I can go if you have, so I'll make an exception for everyone here. If you've got a property somewhere and it's 2 hours or less, I'll go with you. Even if I can't sell in your area or help you in that particular situation, I'll know someone who can. And I can call them and put you in touch. I can walk with you with the other person there. I can help you a lot. So if you've got questions, if you see something pop up, you'll all have access to my business card, my personal number, so if I can help in any way, please let me know. But, of course.
Share your cards.
Yeah. I'll leave them up here. Thank you.
Wait. You have to share one cool story.
Cool, horror, good or bad? Bad?
Gross.
What do you want it with? You can say snake, bedbug, cockroach, mosquito, fleas.
Let's talk bed bugs, because I've always been concerned as a landlord about bed bugs.
Sure.
I don't have a really firm, in-writing, hard policy I'm going by. I'm not really sure I understand what it is my options would be if this has ever blown up on me. Knock on wood. I haven't had anybody call me saying, Mark, the building is full of bed bugs and it's causing me a problem, but
Yeah.
what are we with bed bugs?
Bed bugs are very interesting. You have, I want to say, identical twin situations a lot of times. So what I mean by that, bed bugs, ticks, bat mites, they all look exactly the same. It almost takes a microscope to tell you the difference, or an expert, which is why you call me. The biggest thing with bed bugs isn't A lot of people, again, it's the dirty, it's the, some trash came and they rented my room for a night and they infested my whole place. That's not how it really works. But to the stereotype, so bed bugs actually were spawned in Africa. About in the 1800s, we noticed a development of them. The way they move around, they're very lazy. So picture me 800 pounds, I don't want to go anywhere. I've got Cheetos, you can't make me leave the house. But now someone holds a gun to my head and they're like, you've got to go from Africa to Europe today. Well, I'm gonna hitch a ride with somebody. Bed bugs don't have wings that flap. They have hardened wings, part of their exterior shell. So they can't fly anywhere. So what do? They look for comfortable places, which is usually luggage, clothing. They're weird creatures. They like pressure on both sides. So that's front and back at the same time. It's weird. So the reason for that is because they're flat, their bodies are flat, they are attracted to that type of space. So if you're looking for a bed bug, you'll typically find it between the sheets, you'll find it between the box spring and the mattress, between the box spring and the bed frame, headboard and the wall, pillow and the mattress. You'll find them in weird places, underneath the lamp, anywhere that has a little bit of pressure that they can just squeeze into. Traveling wise, luggage is a big one. Now, they came, you have to think about this for a second. In 100 years, they spread from just one little country in Africa to Europe, Asia, and America, both north and south, in the span of less than 100 years. They didn't do this because they can fly. They did it because they hitchhike. They are the #1 hitchhiking bug out there. So that's why they spread so easily. And same thing, if you step on an egg sac, you cannot destroy it, let alone usually see it. You cannot see an egg sac most of the time, I would say 90% of the time, without a microscope, which is weird. But that means you can't destroy it. You can't figure out if you're carrying it. Most people brush up or spend the night at a friend's house, have no idea. 95% of people are not allergic to a bed bug bite, which means they'll get bit and you won't see a mark. You won't know. But the 5% that do, you'll see a little circle surrounded by red. You'll see 2 bite marks, typically. Now here's the tricky part that I help a lot of landlords with, so that's why you call me. It's imperative, if someone goes to a doctor and says that they've got a bed bug bite, just know that the doctor can't scrape their skin and go, that's bed bugs. How do I know this? We had a claim at, I won't say the hotel, but in Delaware. They had a almost lawsuit brought against them for having bed bugs. The person was trying to get a free room for staying there for a month. They ended up finding out that they were the ones who brought the bed bugs in. I won't say how, because that is bad, but the thing about bed bugs is it's easy to manage if you call a professional. It's not easy to manage. It's easy for us, but if you walk into a room, I walked into a room where the entire bedspread was nothing but black and brown, and you go to move it, and the whole thing moves. That's an infestation. That's a day in my life. But yeah, if you make a footstep and you leave a white footprint in a black room, that's an infestation. That's heavy. But yeah. No shoe covers. At that point, you're screwed. Shoe covers aren't going to help. It's too late. Yeah. No.
Okay, so I won't go there.
They're gonna like that tight spot between your shoe and the shoe cover. They're all gonna fall over to your feet and jump into
So
the feet.
actually, they won't go inside the shoe cover. They'll actually go inside in between your sock and the shoe. It's warm. There's lots of pressure. It's perfect for a bed bug.
Now, why can't you say how? You said I won't share how. Like, how does that?
Because I would say the main reason is how we found out they brought them, which I don't.
It wasn't luggage, like you said. It wasn't luggage.
A lot of things start to get questioned, but how about this? I'll put your mind at ease.
Okay.
It involved a baby and the thing they were moving the baby in.
Oh, okay.
And that's all I'll say about it. But Yeah. So it turned. I won't say any more about that. It did not turn out good for anybody, and I'm very happy that that's all done. But crazy things can happen, and you guys are landlords, so I know you know.
So what's the crazy treatment action you had to take? I mean, I've heard about sealing up houses and putting heat into the building to try to kill the eggs and break the reproduction cycle with heat.
Yeah.
Obviously different. What's the number one treatment for bad infestation? What's involved? And, I've heard horror stories of expense and recurrent, ongoing issues once
Yes.
this infestation gets established. Can you discuss that at all?
Sure. I can go as deep as you'd like, but two things I want to warn you about, and why I almost insist, even if you don't call me, call an expert. I don't mean someone who has seen a bed bug once or did a Google search. I mean an expert, and here's why. Heat treatment is the number one way to kill a bed bug. Life cycle. What do I mean by life cycle? Baby eggs, babies, nymphs, which we call, let's call them the preteens, teenagers, adults, old guy. Heat treatment will kill them all in one go. But if you don't have bed bugs, if you have bat mites, for instance, you can do a heat treatment every day for the next 100 days, spend $1 million with me, and not see a dent.
Right.
And now, here's the other part. You gotta move everything out that can melt. We heat a house up to about 170 degrees. You cannot stay inside. Some companies will let people stay inside, and then they'll heat the house up. That's dangerous. Some companies will let you keep all your stuff there, and then your TV doesn't work. Then your paintings start to melt. Then your light switch is stuck on, and you can't go to sleep. So a lot of problems come up, and sometimes it's better to go liquid treatment. Sometimes it's better to go with maybe no treatment at all and just getting rid of furniture and fixing another situation first. Maybe it's someone who's tracking them in all the time. So that's another problem. The most common issue I have with bed bugs are, we've treated, no more bed bugs, I inspect, you're good to go. 3 weeks later, we've got bed bugs again. How's this? You said it's 100%. No, I said 99. Well, what's the 1%? Well, the friend that comes over who's constantly covered in bed bugs.
Right.
You gotta fix that. I can't keep treating for free and then he just keeps coming over or causes another infestation. So
And so there's no like a bed bug prophylactic chemical treatment you would lay down,
you can.
them at bay, or
So again, reinfesting a spot that's been treated, there's not much we can do. After the treatment is done, if someone comes in with one bed bug, now bed bugs, remember what I said about cockroaches? 50 in one stack, they multiply over 90 days roughly. Bed bugs are 3 weeks. And we're not talking 50, we're talking hundreds. So in the course of 6 months, you could go from one bed bug to over 90,000. Not that that happens every single time that they mate, but it's possible. And that's usually why you see such a infestation breakout. That's bad. So it depends on a lot of things. But to answer your question, yeah, it just depends on what the situation is, how bad the infestation is, and what's causing it. If we're just determining that it's a one-shot kill, heat treatment. If you're thinking, well, I think someone brought it, liquid. Do you have a lot of environmental concerns? Is it hot in your house? That's a big one. Even if I get rid of them, more of them come, they're not going to want to leave. So you want to create a hostile environment for them. So I hope that helps.
So, bed bugs sucks on human blood, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if we just leave the mattress outside for 2 weeks and there's no blood
No.
for them, you can still survive
They'll survive for over a year.
without any
3 months to about with no food. So a bed bug can go 3 months with no food to a year.
no food, no water.
They probably could survive off of no air too. They're insane. But it's hard to kill a bed bug by leaving it out in the sunlight, hoping they just get warm. Doesn't work. So you see people, one customer I had left their mattress out for, I think, a month and brought it back in without consulting me, and they had a huge reinfestation. And then they wanted to tell me that the treatment didn't work. After some back and forth, we found out that that's what happened. And they said, well, I thought the sunlight would kill the bed bugs. I said, no. Who told you that? And they said, oh, I read it on Google. It's like, ah. So, no. Leaving a mattress outside does not mean you're going to kill them.
Why is that with such a long? Because they don't eat, they don't drink, but they can still survive. Why?
Well, you've got two factors. They're invincible. No, I'm joking. So, two factors. If you could hold your breath for a month, that'd be amazing. So bed bugs can survive with no food, no water. They can suck a little bit of blood. Usually the females do that. And they survive just by sharing. That's it. They don't need anything else. Second of all, they repopulate like insanely fast. So if they have a damp, humid, hot place with a lot of moisture, they can create lots of babies very fast. They don't need a lot of time. So I can end it with this, or I can keep going, but Orkin actually has a center that we've built in Atlanta, Georgia. And we do all this testing at this center, where we do every urban myth you've ever heard of. If you use pennies to kill bed bugs, whatever you can think of. You could have a crazy theory. You could Lysol it. Yeah, anything you want. And we run all these tests to see if it's true or not. And we have all these reports on what we found, what actually causes it to work or not work, and then what pesticides do we apply, our techniques change. So every year we've got maybe 3 new techniques that come out of that testing, and then we actually put it onto the street and see. And can we replicate what they found in the lab in the real world? So we go through all of this, and then we've got a program, then we release it in small markets. So we'll release it in Maryland or Florida. Oh, it's working here. Great, then we'll release it more. So all of our methods come out of this one little shop. So that's where a lot of these, I would call them myths, get broken.
That's great. Great job.
Good.
And
Thank
Ravi,
you.
I'm gonna do business cards, and thank you, Ravi. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Should I leave them up here?